Professor Volvid. Volvid.
Then made a sudden right turn over the Gulf of Thailand, then a sudden left turn and flew across the Malay Peninsula. Once past the island of Penang, the plane took another turn to fly into the Indian Ocean, and then took another turn south and flew for over 5 hours straight across that ocean before it probably finally ran out of fuel and crashed somewhere west of Australia in the middle of nowhere. The search for the plane and the 239 people on board began almost immediately. The hunt initially began in Southeast Asia, as it was believed early on that the plane probably went down around here. But as more information came out about the actual path the flight took, the search was changed to the Indian Ocean. Between March 18th and April...
I was about to say, yeah, no, I agree that, like, the motherfucker, like, popped a Yui in the air. Immediately, like, as, like, a tower or something. I feel like that should have been notified. Like, hey, yeah, you know that Malaysia flight? Yeah, it's going the opposite of its path.
April 28th, 19 ships and 345 sorties by military aircraft searched an area over 4.6 million square kilometers in size, larger than the entire country of India, and found nothing. A sonar search of the seafloor was also conducted about 1,800 kilometers west of Perth, Australia, but also didn't find anything. Nothing.
Probably. That fucker slept on his job. Did you hear that? They searched an area bigger than India, and they couldn't find anything.
At all was actually discovered until over a year after the plane vanished, when in July 2015 a piece of wreckage was discovered washed up on the beach of Reunion, 4,000 kilometers west of the main search area. The piece was a wing flapper on, this part on a plane, and it was confirmed to have come from MH370. Its analysis showed that the landing flaps of the plane were not extended when it crashed, which kind of terrifyingly supports the theory that when the plane crashed in the ocean, it did so by entering into a vertical dive. A few more pieces of wreckage were later discovered across the coast of East Africa, but by January 17, 2017, nearly 3 years after the plane's disappearance, the official search for the flight was suspended after discovering no other evidence for the plane's location other than those small amounts of debris. The search was conducted mostly by the governments of Malaysia, Australia, and China, and it had...
Oh, really, DW? Maybe. I mean, how do you lose a whole plane? I'm just saying. How do you lose a whole fucking plane? It's a whole plane. That's crazy, though. Oh my gosh. That has to be awful. They're saying that you could have gone a fucking vertical dive down into the sea. The motherfucker did an Olympic fucking twist and dive into the ocean. That's what they're saying. Oh my gosh.
Become the most...
All those 200 people just did the biggest belly flop. Just saying. That's brutal.
Expensive search in aviation history, costing $155 million. The official report from the search claimed to have narrowed down the location of the crash to a 25,000 square kilometer area in the ocean here west of Australia, an area roughly the same size as Macedonia. In January 2018, though, a private US company called Ocean Infinity announced that it would resume the search for the plane in that 25,000 square kilometer area. But as of March 20...
Love you too, man. Send the good word out. Give me a quick follow, check out the channel and all that mumbo jumbo.
2018, after searching a 33,000 square kilometer area around it, they too have found nothing. After over 4 years of searching and coming up with few answers, the speculation as to what happened to MH370 has been rampant. We're pretty certain about the path the flight took and the general area of where it crashed, but we're no closer to understanding why it happened. The first major theory that got a lot of early attention was a possible hijacking from passengers on board. There were 2 men aboard the flight who were Iranian citizens with stolen passports, which raised a considerable amount of suspicion. They had only purchased one-way tickets from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing and only entered Malaysia a week before the flight departed. But Interpol later concluded that both men were simply asylum seekers fleeing Iran, and not terrorists. Neither of them had the relevant skills to have flown a plane and performed a hijacking, and both American and Malaysian officials extensively reviewed the backgrounds of every single passenger named in the flight manifest and came up with no potential leads. There was speculation that the plane could have been hijacked and taken to a remote island, but no group to date has ever never claimed responsibility for that. And following the discovery of the wreckage off the coast of Africa, this theory has become extremely unlikely. A passenger hijacking doesn't seem likely to have taken place, but what about a crew hijacking? There was considerable suspicion raised around Captain Zahir Ahmad Shah, but no conclusive evidence has been found that links him to causing the incident either. The Malaysian government conducted 170 interviews of friends and family of the crew.
It was the newbie. It was the newbie, not the veteran. Oh my gosh, it was the ultimate betrayal.
Crew that were on board, but once again, nothing significant or sinister was discovered through these. If
about the other
pilots
guy?
caused the incident, it's unclear what exactly would have been their motive for doing so. Police searched the homes of both pilots and seized the financial records of all 12 crew members. The FBI even analyzed data from Captain Shah's home flight simulator, but none of this discovered anything sinister.
Damn, just imagine that. The FBI on their fucking flight simulator. 20, like, whatever year that was. It's like, nah, this mother. Like, hold up, let me see what's up. What do we got here? Hey, hold up. This motherfucker, he's been simulating this specific flight. He's been Denzel Washington this whole fucking flight all the way to this private island. That would have been wild if they actually found something out with that. I never even thought that would be a thing. Using a flight simulator. I guess, yeah, you gotta use everything.
But remember when the flight took that turn out over the Indian Ocean and flew for 5 hours until it ran out of fuel? American intelligence officers believed the most likely explanation for that was that someone in the cockpit of Flight 370 manually reprogrammed the aircraft's autopilot before it took that turn. And do you also remember back when Flight 370 first vanished off the radar screens because a transponder stopped working? It's also possible that somebody inside the cockpit manually turned the transponder off. Despite it seeming likely that somebody in the crew was responsible, there's still zero conclusive evidence to prove that that's what actually happened. There's a few other weird theories out there about what went on, ranging from the plane getting sucked into a black hole to getting abducted by aliens. There's also a theory that the plane was hijacked remotely by cybercriminals that gained access to the flight controls, but Boeing has denounced this idea as impossible.
I like that. Just immediately Boeing's just like, no. Our planes cannot get hacked. That would be the most terrifying thing out there. We're just gonna no, that does not happen. Not on our flights. Can you hack a plane? That would be interesting. Could you hack the controls of a plane? I don't think you could. I guess like maybe hack the override? I don't know. Gosh, that would be something. Maybe so.
The final theory I haven't discussed yet is the fire/hypoxia theory. It's possible that a fire may have started somewhere on board the plane while en route to Beijing. The theory goes that the pilots decided to turn back and wanted to attempt an emergency landing at the nearest suitable airport in northern Malaysia. Based on an analysis of the timing of the satellite communications data, a power interruption mid-flight would be the most likely reason for it. It's unknown what may have caused a power interruption though, since it's been ruled out that it was an engine issue. It could have been somebody inside manually switching off the aircraft's electrical system, but who knows why that would have happened. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau concluded that an unresponsive crew resulting from a potential cabin decompression event was the most likely explanation for when the plane flew for 5 hours straight across the Indian Ocean. If this happened, then everybody on board the flight would have been unconscious for hours up to when it crashed in the ocean. This is all pretty speculative though, because A, it's unknown what might have caused the decompression event happening, B, it's unknown what might have caused the power interruption happening, and C, even if a fire did happen on board and the crew attempted an emergency landing in Malaysia, why did they continue to fly over Malaysia and then change course out over the Indian Ocean? No matter what theory you might think is most likely, every single one has some holes in it that make any of them seem doubtful. And if it's frustrating for you not knowing any answers, imagine how frustrating it must be for the families and friends of the people that were on board. MH370 remains aviation's greatest unsolved mystery, and as long as we haven't discovered the plane, we probably won't get any answers or closure. It's possible that somebody in the world knows exactly what happened to MH370, and it's also possible that literally nobody in the world knows what happened. But whichever of those two possibilities is real, they're both equally unsettling.
Lessons of any kind are valuable for both societies and for individuals, and if you made it all the way through this video to here, it's clear that you enjoy learning. So why not learn even more about anything you want to by going over to Skillshare next? One of the most common questions that I get—
Hey, Everyone is just like, imagine missing this flight. You must be lucky. And I can't help but to think about those people who missed their original flight and took this flight instead. Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah.